Jax's revenge domain.
73 missed calls. That's what my phone showed when I finally picked it up Saturday morning. Most of them from Brandon, my manager. A few from project leads. 3 from executives at Atlas Freight, the client that brings in nearly half our division's revenue. I didn't answer any of them because the system keeping their entire operation running was one I had quietly built myself. And for the first time in 22 years, I had stopped fixing it. My name's Gary Pierce. I'm 47. And I've been keeping DataCore Solutions running since most of these kids were in high school. But that Saturday morning, while I was making pancakes for my son Nolan, I let every single call go to voicemail. For years, I'd been the guy who answered every emergency call, every weekend crisis, every Gary. Can you just take a quick look, but not that weekend? That weekend, I finally learned what my work was really worth to them. The story really started 3 days earlier, in a conference room that always felt too cold during quarterly reviews. Maybe it was the air conditioning. Or maybe it was just the way everyone sat a little straighter when they knew their careers were being discussed. I was sitting halfway down the table with my notebook, same spot I'd taken for the last 6 years of these meetings. Brandon Walsh stood at the front with his PowerPoint, looking every inch the MBA he was so proud of being. Before we wrap up, Brandon said, straightening his tie, let's review compensation adjustments for the quarter. A few people leaned forward. I didn't. I already knew what I'd been promised. 6 months earlier, when the Atlas Freight integration was falling apart and they were threatening to pull their contract, Brandon had pulled me aside after another 16-hour day. Get Atlas back on track, he'd said. And I'll make sure you get that senior director promotion we discussed. I believed him. Stupid me, right? But when you've been Navy for 8 years and corporate for 22 more, you tend to take people at their word. Old habits for months, I rebuilt that system piece by piece, rewrote the automation protocols, fixed the security vulnerabilities, documented every process so thoroughly that a rookie could understand it. The Atlas platform went from crashing twice a week to running smoother than my old submarine's sonar array. Brandon clicked through his slides. This quarter's promotions will focus on employees who've demonstrated strong leadership visibility and strategic thinking. The names appeared on screen. Mine wasn't there, but there was Wesley Murphy, a project manager I'd personally trained last year. There was Sarah Kim from marketing, who'd been here 18 months. And there was Brandon's new hire, some kid fresh out of MIT who spent more time in meetings than actually working. I closed my notebook. No reaction, no questions. Just stood up and walked out. But somewhere between the elevator and my car, something shifted in my head. For the first time in decades, I realized something important. The system I'd spent months rebuilding wasn't really my responsibility. I'd just been the only person willing to fix it. See, here's what nobody understood about me at DataCore. On paper, I was senior systems engineer. Sounded technical but ordinary. One of many guys keeping the servers humming and the code clean. I didn't manage teams, didn't present to executives, didn't get invited to strategy meetings. My name rarely appeared in company newsletters. But inside our department, people knew something management didn't. When something complicated broke, when the Atlas system threw errors that made no sense, when automation scripts failed in ways that shouldn't be possible, I was the guy who figured it out. The Atlas project had nearly killed our department when it first arrived. Sales had promised features we couldn't deliver on timelines that made no sense. Orders routed to wrong warehouses, delivery schedules duplicating themselves, integration APIs failing every few hours. Clients were furious, managers were panicking, and Brandon was in meetings all day trying to explain problems he didn't understand. I stepped in quiet like. No big announcements, no asking for extra authority. Just started mapping the whole mess from scratch. Rebuilding automation rules, fixing broken workflows, stabilizing the system piece by piece. Took me 4 months working nights and weekends, but eventually the chaos stopped. Atlas went from our biggest headache to our smoothest operation. Brandon's perspective was simple. Problems disappeared, clients got happy, late-night emergency calls stopped coming. The system looked stable. What he didn't realize was that stability had a name, and it was mine. Most invisible infrastructure is only noticed when it breaks. After the meeting, I walked straight to Brandon's office. Corner suite, floor-to-ceiling windows, desk that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. He was already typing an email when I knocked. "Got a minute?" I asked. He waved me in without looking up. "Sure thing, Gary." I waited while he finished typing, the sound of his keyboard clicking away, like he was composing something more important than my career. "Wanted to ask about that promotion we discussed." I said, "Finally." Brandon paused, leaned back in his chair. "Right? The senior director thing?" I nodded. He sighed, like I was asking him to explain basic math. "Here's the reality, Gary. You do excellent technical work. Everyone agrees on that," but he trailed off, turning back to his monitor, "but you're too valuable where you are." People like you are hard to replace. He said it like a compliment. The company depends on strong technical contributors. Technical contributors, not leadership, not strategic thinking, technical contributors. I understood immediately. Promoting me would mean losing the one person who quietly solved every operational crisis before it reached management. Why fix what wasn't broken? I see, I said. Brandon had already turned back to his screen. We'll revisit compensation later in the year. I stood up. Thanks for clarifying. He gave me a quick nod, barely acknowledging I was still there. I walked out of his office and closed the door behind me. No argument, no raised voice, just the quiet realization that some promises are never meant to be kept. Traffic was heavy heading home that evening. Long line of red lights stretching across the highway while I sat in my truck thinking. Normally, the drive home was when I'd start planning for the next crisis. Some system glitch waiting on my laptop, some integration failure nobody else quite understood. That night was different. Brandon's words kept playing in my head. You're too valuable where you are. I rested my hands on the steering wheel, watching brake lights crawl forward. At first, I thought I'd be angry. 6 months of nights and weekends, all tied to a promise that apparently meant nothing, but anger never came. Instead, something else settled in my chest. Clarity. Brandon hadn't meant to insult me. He'd just described exactly how the company saw me. Not as leadership material, as the quiet engineer who made problems disappear before management noticed them. When I pulled into my driveway, Nolan was waiting at the kitchen table with his homework spread out. Kid's 16 now, taller than me, and probably smarter too. You're home early, he said, looking up from his algebra. For once I replied. That night, while Nolan explained a calculus problem I definitely couldn't solve, I made 2 simple decisions. First, I was done working nights and weekends for promises that wouldn't be kept. Second, I was going to stop performing all those little fixes I did every day without being asked. No confrontation, no dramatic resignation, just boundaries. Next morning, I walked into Data Core at exactly 9 a.m. For the first time in years, I started work at the time written in my contract. And for the first time in years, the system would have to run without me holding it together every moment. The first crack was small. Tuesday morning, an automation script stopped updating delivery schedules for several Atlas routes. Normally refreshed every 15 minutes, keeping shipment timelines current as new orders hit the system. By 10 a.m., the updates had stopped. Wes Murphy appeared at my desk with his laptop, looking like someone presenting a minor emergency. Hey Gary, the Atlas scheduling script isn't updating again. Can you take a quick look? I glanced at his screen, saw the problem immediately. Simple data feed change that shifted one field overnight. Normally took me 10 minutes to fix. That script belongs to the infrastructure team. I said, opening our ticket system. Wes blinked. Yeah, but you usually handle it. They maintain the automation framework, I said, forwarding the issue. Wes stared at the ticket notification. Oh, right. He walked away looking confused. By afternoon, another issue surfaced. Freight estimates started generating wrong numbers for several shipments. I noticed it in my routine reports, knew exactly what caused it. Normally, I'd have fixed it before anyone else saw the problem. This time, I just closed the report. Across the office, analysts were gathering around monitors, whispering about strange numbers on their dashboards. For the first time since I joined DataCore, the department was running exactly like the org chart said it should. No invisible corrections, no quiet fixes. Small cracks were spreading through the foundation. Wednesday brought more problems. An integration API started timing out randomly, causing shipment delays that rippled through Atlas's entire logistics network. I watched the error logs pile up while drinking my morning coffee. The fix was straightforward, a configuration setting that had drifted over time. 5 minutes of work, tops. I finished my coffee and started my regular tasks instead. By lunch, 3 different people had stopped by my desk asking about various system issues. Each time I politely directed them to the appropriate team or ticket system. Their confusion was almost funny. For years, Gary Pierce had been the unofficial fix-everything guy. Now Gary Pierce was following the actual job description. Thursday morning, I arrived to find Brandon's assistant waiting by my desk. Brandon needs to see you right away, she said. His office felt different this time. Brandon was standing by the window instead of sitting behind his desk, and his usual confident demeanor had developed some cracks. Gary, we need to talk about these system issues. I sat down in the chair across from his desk. What issues? He turned around holding a printed email. Atlas is reporting multiple problems with their integration. Delayed shipments, incorrect routing, data synchronization failures. I nodded. Sounds like infrastructure problems, right? But he paused, clearly struggling with something. The infrastructure team says these issues fall outside their normal maintenance scope. Have they submitted tickets for specialized support? Brandon's jaw tightened slightly. Gary, you know exactly what's going wrong with these systems. I adjusted my old Navy ring, a habit I'd never quite broken. I know the systems I designed are documented in the shared drive. Everything's properly recorded for the support teams, but you built most of these integrations. You understand them better than anyone. That's why I documented everything so thoroughly. The silence stretched between us. Brandon was realizing something he'd never had to face before. The difference between having systems that worked and understanding why they worked. Atlas is threatening to escalate, he said finally. To who? Regional leadership, maybe corporate. I stood up. Sounds like something for the infrastructure team to handle. They maintain our client integrations. Brandon watched me walk toward his door. Gary, I turned back. Fix this. Please. For the first time in 22 years, I heard something in Brandon's voice I'd never heard before. Desperation. I'll review the documentation and see what guidance I can provide, I said. Through the proper channels. That evening, I picked up Nolan from his part-time job at Henderson's auto shop. Kid had grease under his fingernails and satisfaction written all over his face. Good day? I asked as he climbed into the truck. Mr. Henderson says, I've got natural mechanical instincts. He grinned, says, I understand how things work together. I smiled, thinking about systems and how they break down when key components stop functioning. He's probably right, son. How about you? How was work? I considered the question while we drove through town. Interesting. Very interesting. By Thursday morning, the problems had become impossible to ignore. An urgent message from Atlas Freight arrived just after 9:15 a.m. Their operations director needed immediate modifications to the integration system for international routing changes. Normally, requests like this never reached management meetings. I'd review the specifications, adjust the automation rules, update the system quietly before anyone else realized there had been a problem. This time, the request triggered a department-wide emergency meeting. Brandon stood at the conference table while Atlas engineers appeared on the big screen, their faces tight with barely controlled frustration. So this modification should be straightforward, he said with forced confidence. We'll update the routing logic on our end. The Atlas engineer frowned. Could you clarify how your system determines when a delayed shipment triggers an automatic reroute? Brandon hesitated. Well, the platform automatically handles those adjustments based on predefined parameters. Yes, but what specific rules control that decision tree? We need to understand the logic before implementing changes. Brandon looked around the room like he was searching for a life preserver. Nobody answered. The silence stretched long enough to become uncomfortable. His eyes finally landed on me. Gary, he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, you've worked closely with this system architecture. Maybe you can walk them through the technical specifications. I looked up from my notebook. Every person in that room was staring at me, waiting for the magic words that would solve their problem. For years, this had been the moment when Gary Pierce saved the day. All Atlas integration procedures are fully documented in the shared technical repository, I said calmly. Brandon's smile flickered. He opened the documentation folder on his laptop, and hundreds of files filled the screen. Process maps, automation guides, integration specifications, troubleshooting protocols. He scrolled through them, his expression growing tighter with each page. The Atlas engineer waited patiently. Someone shifted uncomfortably in their chair. Perhaps, the engineer said diplomatically, we could schedule a follow-up call once you've had time to review the documentation. For the first time since the Atlas partnership began, the people responsible for managing our most important client were realizing something uncomfortable. The system worked beautifully, but only one person in that room actually understood how all the pieces fit together. At exactly 500 that evening, I shut down my computer and packed my laptop into my bag. The office buzzed with urgent activity, people clustered around conference rooms, typing frantically at keyboards. Having hushed conversations by the coffee machine, Wes looked up from his desk as I stood to leave, heading out already. End of work day, I said simply. He hesitated, clearly expecting me to offer help with whatever crisis was consuming everyone else's evening. When I didn't, he just nodded and turned back to his screen. I walked past the glass conference room where Brandon was still on a video call with Atlas leadership, his voice strained and careful. The elevator doors closed behind me with their familiar soft chime. My phone started buzzing before I reached the parking garage. One notification, then another, then several more in rapid succession. By the time I started my truck, the screen was filled with missed calls and urgent messages from various data core extensions. I turned the phone face down on the passenger seat and drove home through the evening traffic. That night, instead of logging back in to review system alerts or answer emergency emails, I helped Nolan work on his college applications. We sat at the kitchen table going through his essay about mechanical engineering, talking about what he wanted to study and where he might want to go. You think I'll be able to get into a good program? He asked, erasing something he'd written, with your grades and your work at Henderson's shop. They'd be lucky to have you, he smiled. Thanks, Dad. You seem different lately, more relaxed or something. I thought about that while we worked. Maybe I'm just learning to prioritize better. What do you mean your future matters more than some corporate emergency that'll get solved one way or another? After Nolan went to bed, I finally checked my phone. 54 missed calls, most of them from Brandon and various project managers. The voicemail messages painted a picture of escalating panic. Gary, call me immediately. Atlas is threatening to suspend integration testing. The routing system is generating completely incorrect data paths. We need you to walk the infrastructure team through the troubleshooting protocols. One message from Brandon was only 6 seconds long. Gary, please, call me back. I set the phone on the kitchen counter and made myself a sandwich. For the first time in decades, someone else's emergency wasn't automatically my emergency. Friday morning brought a different atmosphere to Data Core. The building felt electric with tension, but not the productive kind. People moved quickly between meetings. Conversations happened in whispers, and I noticed several managers who normally looked confident now appeared frayed around the edges. I arrived at exactly 9 a.m. and found my desk covered with yellow sticky notes. Requests to call various extensions, urgent messages about system issues, pleas for just a quick consultation on problems that were apparently stumping entire teams. I gathered all the sticky notes, walked to the nearest trash can, and threw them away. Then I sat down and began my regular morning routine of reviewing system reports and checking email through official channels. Around 10:30, Brandon's assistant appeared beside my desk again. Gary, Brandon needs to see you. It's urgent. I saved my work and followed her to his office. This time, Brandon wasn't alone. Judith Stone, our regional director, sat in one of the chairs across from his desk. She was a woman in her mid-50s with silver hair and the kind of steady gaze that comes from making difficult decisions for a living. Gary, Brandon said as I entered, thanks for coming up. I believe you know Judith. I nodded. Miss Stone? Please call me Judy, she said, gesturing to the empty chair beside her. I understand you've been instrumental in maintaining our Atlas freight integration. I've contributed to its development and documentation, I said carefully. Brandon leaned forward. Gary, we need your help. Atlas is threatening to terminate their contract if we can't resolve these technical issues immediately. I looked at both of them. Have the infrastructure and integration teams been unable to utilize the documentation I've provided? Judy spoke up. From what I understand, the documentation is quite comprehensive, perhaps too comprehensive. The teams are having difficulty identifying which specific procedures apply to the current problems. I see, I said, adjusting my navy ring. In that case, I'd recommend scheduling training sessions for the technical teams. Proper knowledge transfer takes time. Brandon's voice rose slightly. We don't have time. Atlas wants answers today. Then perhaps, I said quietly, the company should have invested in proper technical training and redundancy planning before now. The room went very quiet. Judy studied me with renewed interest, like she was seeing me clearly for the first time. Gary, Brandon said, his voice tight. We need you to fix this situation. Right now, every person in the room turned to look at me. I nodded once, slowly. Of course, I said calmly. Then I added, almost gently, but I thought others were more deserving of leadership opportunities. The sentence landed like a dropped glass. Nobody spoke. Brandon's jaw tightened visibly. Judy leaned back in her chair, studying me with the kind of quiet interest that comes from watching puzzle pieces finally click into place. I reached into my laptop bag and pulled out a white envelope. The paper made a soft sound as I placed it carefully on the conference table between Brandon and Judy. Brandon frowned. What's that? I slid the envelope toward Judy, my 2 weeks' notice. Several people around the table straightened in their chairs. Brandon reacted like I'd announced the building was on fire. You're resigning? His voice pitched higher. Right now in the middle of this crisis? My expression didn't change. I submitted it this morning through HR channels. Brandon stared at me. You can't leave. Not with Atlas threatening to pull their contract. I folded my hands on the table. TechFlow Industries contacted me last week. They're offering a chief technology officer position overseeing infrastructure operations for defense contractors. A few people exchanged uneasy glances. The mention of defense work carried weight in our industry. Serious money, serious responsibility, serious respect. Brandon's frustration shifted into something closer to panic. Gary, he said more carefully, this isn't the time for emotional decisions. I met his eyes directly. This isn't emotional, it's strategic. Judy had been reading my resignation letter while we talked. 2 paragraphs, professional, direct, dated that morning. She folded it back into the envelope and closed it quietly. Would you mind stepping into my office for a moment, she asked. Brandon leaned forward urgently. Judy, we need him to. Judy raised one hand. The room went silent immediately. Gary, please. I followed her out of the conference room, leaving behind a table full of people who were finally understanding the difference between having systems that worked and knowing why they worked. Judy's office had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, much quieter than the tense room we'd just left. She closed the door and gestured to the chair across from her desk. "Please sit." I took the seat and waited while she walked to her desk. For a moment she remained standing, like she was reassessing something she thought she already understood. "What would it take for you to stay?" she asked directly. I didn't answer right away. For months, leaving DataCore had felt like my only option. Now, sitting in the regional director's office with her full attention, the situation felt different. "I'm not interested in revenge," I said finally. She nodded. "Then what are you interested in?" I leaned forward slightly. "Authority to build systems the right way, not just maintain them." She waited for me to continue. "For years, I've been maintaining processes I never had authority to improve," I said. "They work, but they're fragile. Band-aids on top of band-aids. I want the ability to fix the fundamental architecture, not just patch problems when they break." Judy walked around to her desk and opened a folder. Inside was a document she'd apparently prepared before our meeting. She turned it toward me. "Chief Technology Officer," I read quietly. "You'd report directly to executive leadership," she said. Then she pointed to a specific line on the page, 65% salary increase, plus equity participation. I looked up, surprised despite myself, and full authority to redesign operational infrastructure across all divisions. She continued, "Your own team, your own budget, your own priorities." The room stayed quiet while I absorbed what she was offering. This wasn't just a promotion, it was a complete restructuring of how DataCore handled technical operations. "It's a serious offer," I said finally. Judy nodded. "It's also long overdue." I thought about the document, about Nolan's college plans, about the years I'd spent fixing other people's poor decisions. "I'd like the weekend to think about it." "That's fair. But Gary," she leaned forward, "don't take too long. We need someone who understands how to build things that last." Monday morning, I walked into Judy's office with my decision. "I'll accept," I said, "but I have 3 conditions." She gestured for me to continue. "First, I want to build a proper infrastructure team. 5 people to start, with authority to hire more as needed. People who understand operations, not just theoretical frameworks." Approved. "Second, the company needs a clear advancement path for technical contributors. There are people here carrying entire systems on their shoulders, but nobody sees them because we don't measure what they actually do." Judy considered that. "Elaborate." "Merit-based promotion tracks that don't require people to abandon what they're good at just to get recognition. Technical leadership roles with real authority." She nodded. "We can build that." "Third," I said, "I want Brandon to report to me on all technical initiatives." Judy raised an eyebrow. "That's a significant organizational change. He's a capable administrator," I said, "but technical decisions need to be made by people who understand the consequences." She was quiet for a moment, then smiled slightly. "Done." Over the next 8 months, changes spread through DataCore like ripples in still water. I assembled a team by pulling talent from places leadership had never bothered to look. A support analyst who understood automation better than most senior developers. A process specialist who'd been buried in administrative work for years. A network engineer who'd been troubleshooting problems nobody else could solve. Together, we rebuilt DataCore's infrastructure from the ground up. We documented everything properly, trained teams thoroughly, built redundancies that actually worked. Workflows became elegant instead of chaotic. Systems ran the way they were supposed to run. The results spoke louder than any presentation ever could. Overtime dropped by 42%. System downtime decreased by 78%. Client satisfaction scores reached levels the company had never achieved. Atlas Freight didn't just renew their contract. They expanded it, praising DataCore's exceptional operational reliability and technical innovation. 9 months after that crisis meeting, I was reviewing quarterly performance reports when my phone buzzed. A message from Judy. "Board approved your VP of Operations promotion." Brandon supported the vote enthusiastically. Not out of generosity, but because the results made any other decision impossible to justify. That evening, I picked up Nolan from Henderson's auto shop. He had grease under his fingernails and satisfaction written across his face. "Mr. Henderson offered me a full-time position after graduation," he said as we drove home. "Says I could run my own bay within a couple years." "That's great, son. You earned it." "How was your day?" I thought about systems that worked, people who built them, and the difference between being valuable and being valued. "Pretty good," I said, adjusting my old Navy ring. Pretty good. The 10% raise I'd originally wanted would have changed very little. But the authority to rebuild how things actually worked, that changed everything for dozens of people. Sometimes the strongest response to being underestimated isn't anger or bitterness. It's making your worth so obvious that ignoring it becomes impossible. Look, if you're reading this and you recognize yourself in my story, here's what I learned. Your expertise has value, but only if you're willing to defend it. Companies will use your dedication against you if you let them. They'll promise promotions they don't intend to deliver, pile on responsibilities without compensation, and take your loyalty for granted until the day you stop providing it for free. The system only changes when the people who hold it together decide they deserve better. Don't wait for permission to know your worth. Make them prove they deserve your talent.